everyone. This is Chala, CEO and founder of the Repositioning Expert, coming to you live with another Tuesday Tea Time with Chala. And I've got my tea, but it is actually vegan bone broth. I don't even know how that works, but I'm supposed to be drinking 2 cups of this per day. It just arrived today from my functional doctor. I am not thrilled. I couldn't I couldn't hack the actual homemade one, the one that froths, and it smelled so bad, like, the whole condo smelled. So, she made this thing, and she's selling it, and I'm gonna have some, but I have to like hold my nose. So it's supposed to be good for my gut health, although I didn't know my gut health was suffering, but it's really for my dry skin, which is kind of like eczema-ish. So apparently gut health is related to the skin. So I'm trying to like be able to go on a vacation without crying in the sun lately. That's what happened the last time. So hence I have to do this. So it just got here. This is my second cup for the day. And lucky you, you get to see me holding my breath and drinking it. Ugh. All right. Okay. So I have some really good research for you guys. I loved this research that I found it's McKinsey 2022 research, and it's all about growth, and especially all the things that I'm reading about, businesses is how to survive, how to be resilient, how to, make the most of what's happening in the market. But what this survey says, or this research suggests, is that growth is a decision. Growth is something that you either are focused on or you're not. So you're either focused on survival or growth. And it's really, really quite interesting how they're diametrically opposed, and they actually negate each other, these two mindsets. So let me just give you some scary statistics. First of all, is that a quarter of all companies at all times, they don't grow. And only a tenth of the S&P 500 companies grew over the GDP, the gross domestic product, for 30 years. And the growth that these people experienced, what they did is they researched the companies that were in growth, and they found some common denominators, some common factors. And what they found is that not only is growth a decision, but it's indicated through the leaders' actions, thoughts, words, and strategies. And what they found is that the growth leader is 80% more likely to deliver shareholder results than their peers. More value, literally more shareholder value over 10 years. So obviously they couldn't look at it very short term, because some of the factors that I'm going to talk to you about, the tells, is, risk in the short term. But let's not jump there. So now, why do you want to grow? I always ask this to my clients. I'm like, what's in it for you? Why are you hiring me? Why do you want to grow? And these are the things that they always say. I want to attract really good talent. I want to drive innovation and be able to afford the innovation. And I want to create more jobs, and I want to live my dreams. So there's some succession planning dreams after creating this growth. So that's why people want to grow. That's what's at stake. And if you're one of those people, you should just keep watching as I take another sip. I mean, this is a big cup, for God's sake. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to be drinking all this, but okay, I'm going to take one more sip. Oh, okay. Oh, do you think I'll get used to this? Oh my God. I actually had to drink Chinese medicine tea to get pregnant. For 4 months, I had to drink it. Was it once a day, twice a day? It smelled so bad. We had to boil it outside of the house. And it was like so pungent. It was like, it was like latrine water, but mud. And I did it. And that's how I had Logan. And I couldn't do it again. Like, we wanted another kid, but I could not do it again, because otherwise I was having miscarriages, because I was not exactly a young bride. So anyway, it's kind of reminiscent of that, but it's a lot less obviously pungent. So I don't know how to dress it up. All right, back to business. 5 tells you're never going to grow. Okay. So first of all, there's 3 key components to growth. One is mindset. No surprise, right? 2 with large corporations is to have multiple streams of income, like to diversify their income. And then 3 is like excellent execution, like execute everything well. So, your operations, your plans, your strategies, your marketing, everything, excellence in all of it. So those are the 3 components of growth. Now, the one that I wanted to concentrate on is, the topic for today, which is the 5 tells you're never going to grow, is the mindset. The mindset is divided into 5 tells. So apparently, according to this research, if you have, when they looked at all the companies that grew more compared to their peers, if the leader had at least 3 out of these 5 mindset components, they were 2.4 times, almost 2.5 times more likely to succeed and grow versus their peers. Okay. So here is the first tell. If you prioritize perfection over speed when you make decisions, when you implement change, when you undertake, a new project, if you prioritize perfection over speed, you lose. Okay. So 70% of the winners of growth leaders, what they call them growth leaders, 70% of growth leaders prioritize speed over perfection. So that's one of the biggest main common denominators that they had. Okay. So the next tell that I know that you're never going to grow is not being willing to fail. So if you're not willing to fail, you're not growth minded and you're not going to grow. And conversely, of course, when they looked at the leaders, 70% of them had this in common, that they were willing to fail. Okay, that's a big one. Number 3 of the mindset was, if it's a tell, if you're not going to grow, if you guess at your customer demographics and drivers, or if you look at too broad a market dynamic. So versus 70% of these growth leaders actually knew the customer inside out. They knew the actual customer needs, the actual customer avatar. So it's all about focus, and it's all about deep knowledge and intimacy, face to face with the customer. Number 4 of the tells that you're never going to grow is if you focus on short-term growth. So I often talk to my clients about this when they, prioritize licking the ice cream, which is the business that they have on hand, versus the other hand, baking or gathering the baking materials to make bread that's going to keep them full longer and, over many moons. So it's always that balance. But what's interesting is that if you're growth oriented, you're not focused on licking the ice cream. You're actually more focused on baking the bread. Okay. Again, that number was 60% for those growth leaders who were focused on long-term growth, who, when you're focused on long-term growth, it's a decision. Because it's scary. It's scary to lose in the short term for the long-term gain. And lastly, the last fail, the last tell that you're never going to grow is that you have no growth story to tell. So this is a very interesting one. 80% of these leaders that were growth leaders consistently kept internally and externally telling stories, either one story or many stories of their success, of how they, came back, of how things are amazing, of how they're growing, of how they're succeeding, versus companies that are either keep telling their fail story or how hard things are, or how terrible the market is. So this is all mindset stuff, you guys. I mean, this is the number one tell. Actually, it was the highest thing that they had in common, was that 80% of these growth minded leaders actually have a success story that they retell over and over and over, internally and externally. So those are some of the ways that you can recognize when you're doing these things and change your mindset and your language and your thoughts around being a growth leader, because growing doesn't just come as a, you know, as an accident. It doesn't, it's a consequence of a series of concentrated, concerted decisions that you are going to be a growth company, a growth minded leader. So I hope that was helpful. I thought it was a great, timely research to address the growing fears and the problems in the market with uncertainties, and yet still things are moving, and yet still there's business being done. And the kind of clients that I work with are not the biggest, largest organizations in the world. They're, you know, mid-sized companies. So there's always potential for you to grow, no matter what the market conditions are. All you have to do is have these things that I just talked about. Have a growth mindset. If you have a short-term fear, you know, lack of having skin in the game, lack of being able to risk things, risk of failure, not being able to take those hard decisions with the long term in mind, you are not going to succeed in this market or any other. So I hope that was helpful. I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of you in a couple of weeks. I'll be speaking at the NMSDC in New Orleans, and then after that, I'll be speaking in at there's a whole bunch of diversity groups coming together. I think it's called Unity Week, and I'll be in, and I believe that's the second week of November. I'll be in Washington, D.C. So November is going to be, you know, here and gone very quickly, and I can't wait to see some of you who are maybe watching this. Please come and say hi, and especially at the NMSDC, I'd love to meet with you if you guys have been following me. And if you have any other questions, I'd love to connect. All the best, and see you next week. And hopefully maybe I'll be more used to this thing, right? All the best, everyone. Take care.